15 years ago, the forest of Fulchoki Godavari was not as green as it is now. The trees were cut down. The streams remained dry unless there were heavy rains. It seemed locals would soon face a problem with cultivating their fields and finding water for their cattle. So the community in the area decided to do something to protect the forest, recognizing that it was important for providing water and other benefits to them. They registered the forest as a community forest and initiated conservation work. Nepal has a long and successful history of decentralized forest management through handing over national forest to community forest user groups. Through the mechanism of community forestry, Nepal has increased its forest cover on previously degraded land. Forests managed under this model regenerate while local communities improve their livelihoods through the sustainable extraction of non-timber forest products. The government of Nepal has and continues to be a strong supporter of community forestry. Thus, a green campaign was launched. The scene changed drastically over the next 15 years. The forest, hills turned green. Water began to flow in the gorges. The whole environment became pleasant. These days, many people from Kathmandu come here to enjoy the cool greenery and get close to nature even for a few hours.
300 चान्चुन चराचुरुङ्गी छ भनेर भनिन्छ यही गोदावरीमा चाहिँ काँडे भ्याकुर समेत पाइन्थ्यो जो चाहिँ अहिले संसारमै अन्त पाइदैन भन्छन् तर अहिले यो स्थानान्तर भएर कम छ जुन घर चलाउनको निम्ति नभई नहुने इन्धन प्राप्त गरेका छौं स्याउला लगेर सोत्तर बनाएर चाहिँ कम्पोस्ट मल बनाएका छौं अनेखेरि पशुपालनलाई चाहिँ आहार यसैबाट गराउँछौं त्यो हिसाबले हामीलाई चाहिँ फाइदा छ जंगलबाट चाहिँ बहने जुन चाहिँ हावा हो त्यो हावा चाहिँ चिसो हावाले त अरु पनि लाभान्वित भएका छन् त्यो जोगाउनाले नै समय समयमा पानी पर्छ नत्र पनि सुक्खा भइसक्या थियो यो कुलकुल बग्ने चाहिँ खोल्सीहरु चाहिँ सुक्खामा परिणत भइसक्या थियो अहिले कुल्ल बगिरहेका छन् त्यो तिनीहरुलाई यो सुन्दर हरियाली दृश्य हेर्नको निमित्त नै आउँछन् तिनीहरु चराचुरुङ्गी पनि हेर्छन् पिकनिक पनि खान पाइयो त्यो दृष्टिकोणले चाहिँ काठमाडौँबाट धेरै मान्छेहरु आउँछन्
सिधै दिनी त दाउरा हो हैन त्यसले लगेर अब खाना पकाउनमा प्रयोग हुन्छ दाउरा घाँस पत्कर त्यही नै हो सिधै दिनी चाहिँ नि महिलाले नै बनाएको त हो नि यो पुरुष त अब प्राय जस्तो जंगलमा त्यसरी जानुहुन्न नि झाडी सुधार गर्ने पनि महिला नै हो त्यो वन जोगाउने पनि महिला नै हो
Conservation work is going on, not only in Godavari in the southern part of Kathmandu Valley, but also in the Shivapuri Nagarjun National Park in the northern part of the valley, an internationally protected area. Nowadays, this area is popular with national and international visitors. The Shivapuri Nagarjun National Park, which covers an area of 159 square kilometers, is the lifeline of Kathmandu. Bagdwar, the origin of the Bagmati River, an integral part of Kathmandu's civilization, is in this protected forest. Kathmandu receives 40% of its drinking water from the Shivapuri Nagarjun National Park. People living locally also benefit from the plentiful water supply and from jobs and income from the thousands of visitors that come to the park. Internationally, there are benefits from the forest's contribution to reducing global climate change. However, local people also experience some costs such as restrictions on harvesting products like mushrooms, wild foods, timber and fuel wood from the forest, and wild animals sometimes damage their crops. Notable efforts are being made for biodiversity protection in Nepal. Because of activities carried out with community participation, Nepal has become globally renowned in the field of conservation. Yet, despite all these positive developments, our conservation efforts are insufficient to address all the problems. Nepal still lags behind in protecting natural habitats. In fact, conservation of remaining wildlife habitats has failed to gain enough momentum not only in Nepal but across the globe.
The status around the world is that 12% of the world's birds are threatened with extinction. That means 1 in 8 of all bird species around the world has a threat of disappearing in the next 100 years. There are about 10,000 bird species in the world, so it's a considerable number of birds which are very threatened. Of those, about 190 are what we call critically endangered, and this means they are right on the edge of extinction. And there are some examples of vulture species in Nepal which have this status. So unless we do something about them right now, they won't actually survive on this earth for much longer. The biggest threat is from changes in land use. So wild birds need to have good natural habitats in which they can breed and feed, and those natural habitats are being destroyed by humans for other uses.
Bird populations decline, then it's generally an indication that the quality of the ecosystem, the quality of the habitat is itself declining. And birds, because they're very visible, they're easy to watch, and they're a very well-known group of species, provide excellent indicators, therefore, of environmental quality.
Nepal is rich in natural resources, and we are ahead of many countries in the field of conservation. However, not everybody wins. Those who bear the costs of conservation may get little in return. Locals living within and close to the Shivapuri Nagarjun National Park, who make efforts to protect the water sources for providing water to Kathmandu's inhabitants, receive few benefits. Currently, only a small percentage of the income earned from the national park tourism reaches the locals. If this continues, locals may get less motivated to conserve the forests. Therefore, it is important to develop plans for improving local livelihoods alongside conservation work.
अब माथिल्लो भेगमा बस्ने कम्युनिटिजहरुले चाहिँ संरक्षण गर्दिने र तल्लो भेगका कम्युनिटिहरुले त्यो संरक्षण बापतको जुन फाइदाहरु लिनु भएको छ जस्तै अब उदाहरणको लागि माथि चाहिँ वन क्षेत्र संरक्षण गर्दिनु भयो भने तल्लो क्षेत्रका उपभोक्ताहरुले त्यो वनबाट उत्पादन हुने घाँस दाउरा काठका अलावा अब पानीहरुको प्रयोग गर्नुहुन्छ त्यो पानी चाहिँ अब खानेपानी सिंचाई जलविद्युत विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा प्रयोग भएको हुन्छ अब त्यस्तो तल्लो क्षेत्रका जनताहरुले जुन आफूले जुन सेवा प्रयोग गर्नुभयो उदाहरणको लागि खानेपानी प्रयोग गर्नुभयो अथवा सिंचाई प्रयोग गर्नुभयो भने त्यो बापतको एउटा धेरै थोरै रकमहरु माथिको उपभोक्तालाई दिइदिनु भयो भने माथिको उपभोक्ताले पनि सधैँ उनीहरुलाई एउटा चाहिँ उत्प्रेरणा आउने भयो अथवा सट्टै एउटा किसिमको फाइदा उहाँहरुलाई हुने भयो त्यो भइसकेपछि उहाँहरु माथिकोले नि केही पाउँछु भनेर संरक्षण गर्ने तलकोले पनि माथिकोले संरक्षण नगर्दिने भने त हामीलाई चाहिँ बाढी पहिरो आउँथ्यो होला अथवा हाम्रा वेटल्यान्डहरु पुरिन्छन् होला भनेर यो एउटा वास्तवमा भन्नुहुन्छ भने सभ्य समाजमा प्रयोग गरिने एउटा उपाय पनि हो.
People are now trying to understand better the trade-offs between delivering benefits to people and protecting biodiversity. One possible approach, where there is a trade-off, is to direct the income earned from tourism to those who bear the costs of conservation.
चराचुरुङ्गी चाहिँ खास गरिकन आनन्द चराचुरुङ्गी हेरेर मान्छेले आनन्द लिन्छ हैन त्यो एउटा शोकको कुरा हो हैन अमेरिकामा मात्र उदाहरणको लागि 25 लाख मान्छे चराचुरुङ्गी हेर्छन् त्यो 25 लाखको 1% नेपालमा मात्र आएर चराचुरुङ्गी हेर्दियो भने पर्यटनको लागि एकदमै फाइदा हुन्छ हामी बर्ड वाचिङ टुरिज्म भन्छ हैन त्यसैले चराचुरुङ्गीबाट हामीले चाहिँ पर्यटनलाई पनि दिगो पर्यटन विकासको लागि धेरै सेवा पुग्छ गिद्ध संरक्षणको लागि चितवन राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जमा चाहिँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ ब्रिडिङ सेन्टर स्थापना गरेको छ 43 वटा त्यहाँ गिद्धहरू चाहिँ छ जुन गिद्धहरू चाहिँ अब बच्चा पाउने भएपछि यो सुरक्षित ठाउँमा हामीले त्यसलाई छोड्ने काम गर्छ त्यसैले चराको लागि विभिन्न ठाउँमा साइटमा जनचेतना जगाउनेदेखि लिएर उनीहरू बस्ने हेबिटेट उनीहरूको साइटमा र त्यहाँ वरिपरि बस्ने मान्छेहरूलाई पनि जीविकोपार्जनसँग सम्बन्धित कुराहरू चाहिँ हामीले सपोर्ट गर्छ जसले गर्दाखेरि उनीहरूको पनि एउटा संरक्षण सबैको भन्ने कुरा भावना उहाँहरुमा जागोस् त्यसैले त्यो खालको हामीले जस्तो सहकार्यहरू खोलेको छ उदाहरणको लागि जगदीशपुरमा कोशीमा अनि त्यो वरिपरि बस्ने खास गरिकन अब आदिवासीहरूको लागि चाहिने नयाँ नयाँ सिपहरू क्षमताको स्किलहरूको विकास गर्नमा सहयोग गर्छ त्यसैले त्यो कुन ठाउँमा कस्तो खालको सुहाउँदो कुराहरू हुन्छ त्यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ हामीले संरक्षणको साथसाथै विकासको कामहरू पनि साथसाथै लगिरहेको छ.
Rara National Park is situated in Mugu, a mountain district in the far western region. Rara National Park covers an area of 10,600 hectares and is the smallest national park in Nepal. Yet the deepest and largest lake in the country lies in this park. There must be few people who do not get mesmerized by the beauty of Rara Lake. The lake, which is situated at an altitude of 3,000 meters, attracts both domestic and foreign tourists. Besides the lake, the national park is home to 235 bird species. Cheer pheasant, a globally threatened species of bird, can also be spotted in the forest here. Apart from that, Rara Lake also has some rare species of fish that are not found anywhere else.
कस्तुरी मृग पनि हामीले भेटा छौं हामी बेला बेलामा त्यसको चाहिँ मोनिटरिङ गर्छौं अनि त्यस्तै रेड पान्डा भनेको हाब्रे अनि त्यसपछि आएर थार घोरल अनि हिमालयन भालु बाँदरहरू त्यस्तै अब बँदेल प्रशस्ति मात्रामा देखिया छन् र अब यतातिर दुर्लभ भन्नु पर्दाखेरि इन्डेमिक स्पिसिज भन्नु पर्दाखेरि जस्तै रारामा 3 प्रकारको माछा छ त्यो नेपालमा अन्त कहीँ पनि छैन त्यो माछा पनि लाई पनि हामीले अलिकति त्यसलाई चाहिँ सुरक्षित अलिकति संरक्षण दिएर राख्यौं भनेदेखि त्यो पछिसम्मको लागि चाहिँ एउटा इन्डेमिक रहनेछ र अरु हेर्नु पर्ने हाम्रो मुख्य तालै हो त्यहाँ मान्छे हेर्न जाने चाहिँ मुख्य उद्देश्य नै ताल हो त्यसको अब लम्बाइ 5 किलोमिटर छ अब हामी आफै विचार गर्नु यहाँदेखि कहाँसम्म होला त्यस्तै चौडाइ 3 किलोमिटर छ भनेदेखि त्यसको गहिराई चाहिँ 167 मिटर गहिराई छ र तालले लिएको एरिया चाहिँ हजुरको अब 10.8 स्क्वायर किलोमिटर तालले मात्रै लिएको छ वनस्पतिमा अब हामी जडीबुटीको धनी कर्णाली अञ्चल भएको हुँदा अहिले चाहिँ हामीले गुच्ची चाउ जो कि सबभन्दा महँगो च्याउ भन्छौं हामीहरू गुच्ची च्याउ त्यसपछि अब अहिले ठाउँ ठाउँमा यार्सा गुम्बा पनि देखिया छ र त्यसको साथसाथै डालेचुक भनेको त्यो चाहिँ एउटा मल्टिपर्पज एउटा दबाई हो र त्यसको जुस बनाइन्छ जुस बनाएर चाहिँ मान्छेले एउटा जुसको रूपमा पनि प्रयोग गर्छन् भनेदेखि एउटा अमिलोको रूपमा पनि प्रयोग गर्छन् डालेचुक भयो अतिस लोरसल्ला त्यसपछि यो के रे धेरै प्रकारका जडीबुटीहरू चाहिँ त्यहाँ फेला परेका छन्.
Historically, low-intensity use of the meadows and forests by local communities has contributed to protecting the environment in this region, which is endowed with rare species of birds, wildlife, vegetation and fish. However, because of the region's isolation and the lack of appropriate investment, levels of poverty in the area are higher than the national average. Poor people living in a rich environment. Koshi Tapu Wildlife Reserve is home to 490 bird species and the largest habitat in Nepal for native and migratory birds. This is the only area in the country where one can find Arna, wild buffalo. Threatened species of dolphin, gharial and mugger crocodile are also found in the area. Koshi Tapu is one of the primary tourist destinations for birds in Nepal. The livelihoods of local people here are very dependent on the wetland, which they use for fishing, cultivation of rice, extraction of grass for thatch, water for domestic use and drinking water for their livestock, and use of reeds for making mats. It is important that the wetland can continue to provide these goods and services on which local people depend, and that their livelihoods are improved so that pressures on the wetland are reduced. Bird Conservation Nepal, in collaboration with the Government of Nepal, BirdLife International and other partners, is implementing a project funded by the UK government's Darwin Initiative programme to assess the benefits that people receive from sites that are important bird areas, such as Shivapuri Nagarjun National Park, Rara National Park, Koshi Tapu Wildlife Reserve and Fulchoki Forest Area. These are all sites that are important for bird populations and for people's livelihoods. The project is demonstrating that humans obtain many kinds of resources from nature. These are called environmental resources or ecosystem services. We get resources such as timber, fuel wood, grass, herbs, fruit, fish and water from nature for free We also benefit from other aspects of nature, such as soil formation, storm protection, nutrient cycling, and carbon sequestration. We do not have to pay for these services and resources, but we can only obtain them as long as they are conserved. Therefore, it is important to highlight the value of natural areas in providing us with benefits and to whom these benefits are delivered. Experts around the world are now trying to quantify and determine the monetary value of some environmental resources. In Nepal, the project is evaluating the benefits people receive from the forests of Shivapuri Nagarjun and Fulchoki, the wetland of Koshitapu, and the pristine landscape at Rara. They are estimating the amount of carbon stored in the forest by studying trees and other kinds of vegetation in the forest to assess their contribution to mitigating global climate change. A value of this ecosystem service can be determined using the global carbon market and other initiatives such as RED. Other benefits being quantified are harvested wild goods, crops, tourism and water. Water is an essential benefit delivered by nature without which we could not survive.
अब नेपालमा प्रशस्त नदी नाला भएको देश, ताल तलैया भएको देश, अनि अब यी नदी नालामा र यी ताल तलैयामा हामी नेपाली जनताहरूको जीविकोपार्जनको अन्योन्याश्रित सम्बन्ध भएको हुँदा अब यिनीहरूको संरक्षण, सम्वर्धन र सदुपयोग गरेर यिनलाई सतत रूपमा संरक्षण गर्न जरुरी छ।